and get somebody else to pay for it.
Gentlemen, I wanted to ask about, speaking of security, and not only an invasion of the ground border, but our airspace, and you had the Chinese spy balloon. Then all of a sudden the Biden administration is shooting hot air balloons like it's duck season, and now nothing. And I'm wondering if you guys can give us any insight into what was really going on.
Well, I will tell you that. I'm trying to figure out where I can get into stay out of the classified and get into what you probably already know. Look, China's testing the United States of America because weakness is provocative, right? We're weak, and they want to see what they can get away with, and that's what they're doing. And there's absolutely no reason this story that, well, we let it cross the country because it was going to be unsafe to shoot it down prior to that. They knew this thing was coming when it was over the Pacific Ocean. And then, well, we needed to make sure we recovered it, to make sure what was on it, and to make sure we knew what they were doing. That's like allowing a burglar to come into your house to see what they'll take, and then maybe greet them, I guess, before they get in their car and say, well, I just want to take an inventory here of what you got. This is all absurd. These are breaches by an enemy into our national sovereignty, our national airspace, and they need to be met with maximum force.
And again, I know that Speaker McCarthy said a couple of months back that he's seen nothing that Biden's done that would be worthy of impeachment, but it seems violating the oath of office and not protecting this nation from enemies, foreign and domestic, and letting that balloon invade our airspace, that is worthy of impeachment.
It is. But look, the issue that all of us face, you impeach Biden for mentally he's not here, but look who you get, the giggler. Who wants her? And on the balloon.
You call her the giggler?
The giggler,
the
yeah.
giggler.
Yeah, she laughs at everything. But the problem that we've got, and we interviewed General Kellogg, who you see him on Fox all the time. He's a no-nonsense general. He, first of all, said Milley should have been fired a long time ago, and he was a traitor. But he said, but get this, look where they shot it down. He brought this up. He said, over Alaska, over Montana, the only thing you might hit is a deer or an antelope. But he said the fallacy of shooting it down over the ocean, salt water and electronics don't go together, and getting it at the bottom of the sea, that was all planned. I mean, how much intelligence can they gather under salt water, under the sea, and the cost of that? So none of it makes sense. And I'm in South Carolina. Duke Power is like 15 minutes from my house. Guess where the balloon was over? Duke Power. Guess where Shaw Air Force Base is in Sumter? Guess where the balloon was over? I mean, it's the seriousness of it. The EMP attacks on our electrical system, electromagnetic pulse, to shut that down, folks, that's a serious issue. This administration is clueless. I've been to the briefings that Congressman Perry has been to. Really, I didn't see anything. They're just out of touch. And the only way you change policies, change people.
Todd, let's talk about impeachment a little bit. Republicans look at the impeachment requirements and they say high crimes and misdemeanors, and they read it literally and say, what high crime has the president or Secretary Mayorkas or some judge committed? And the Democrats don't look at it that way, because you're not really having a criminal trial. It's a political trial. That's what it is. And so I think Republicans, again, need to acknowledge the enemy that we face, unfortunately, the Marxists in our country, and we're going to have to get right with the circumstance that we're going to have to use all the tools that we have in our tool belt. We have Republicans that just say, well, show me in the criminal code what crime or misdemeanor that this person committed. Well, show me in the criminal code which crime or misdemeanor President Trump committed. It didn't stop them from dragging that guy through the country across the coals for absolutely. Not only was there no crime, they made everything up. They're the ones that should be on trial. We need to get in the fight, ladies and gentlemen.
Folks, aren't you glad we've got the House Freedom Caucus on the fight? I mean, this is what it's all about here. I want to go back, though, Congressman, to something you said when we started this conversation. You believed that these were not failures of the Biden administration. These were intentional. You mentioned Marxism a lot. And I'm wondering, what is the end game here? Because we're seeing a lot of chaos in the culture. We're seeing a lot of unrest in our major American cities, Memphis, where we're based, the deadliest city in America. What is the end game with this administration?
To me, the model is it's Marxism, it's socialism, it's control over your lives. If you just take a look at some of the recent events, they essentially crashed the healthcare system so government could take it over, and government has taken it over, right? You look at law enforcement, they're trying to crash that. They want federal police. They want more and more control, and so there's a model by which they do this, and they look at every single system that's important in your life, every traditional role that citizens play, that government has played. It's all under assault, Todd, because that's the model that they use. And they've done the long march through the institutions. They're doing the long march, or they're essentially completed the long march through the boardrooms now. So your investments, you're investing in ESG, whether you like it or not. And you can't, if you want to own a gun store and get financing, you can't. If you want to be a wildcatter drilling a rig, or with a drilling rig, drilling and prospecting for oil and gas, you cannot, because you can't get financing. This is the theme that's going to just reverberate through our economy, through our country, through our culture, through the education system. They crashed that, and they took it over. And, and it started at the higher level, but now you've got, right here in Loudoun County, you got Scott Smith. His daughter was sexually assaulted. He goes to the school board to see what the heck's going on and demand some resolution to his. I'm going to just tell you, I got 2 daughters. I'm not going to be as calm as Scott Smith. If something like that happens to my kids, I'm just going to tell you. They arrest him. They arrest him.
Yeah.
This is their goal.
Congressman, and Norman, we're going to start with you, and I'll give you the last word, Congressman Perry, as we wrap up our time here. You've got some red-blooded American patriots here. They put Red Bull on the Fruit Loops this morning. They came, and they want to know, what do we do? How do we get engaged? How do we fight? What do you tell this great group?
First of all, everybody here has got a talent. And, you don't realize the power that you have and how 1 or 2 people can make a difference. And I would say, if you're inclined to run for office, do what we do, run for office. But if your inclination is, if you got small children, as Scott said, they're taking our children over. Our children are not safe. What's happening to them in the education system is evil. And so get involved with who goes on the school board. Get involved with who goes on the city council. Interview these candidates. Call in your state reps. And you can't do it with one person. Get 3 or 4 or 5 groups, scare people, particularly politicians. Get them in there, and I will tell you it pays dividends. And recruit people. How do you think? I was recruited. I'm sure Scott at some point was recruited. Everything starts with a question and a conversation. So everybody has got a talent. Get behind candidates, but we cannot. The thing that's gotten us in trouble today is people, and we got weak people put up candidates. The power, and as Scott said, what we're losing is our democracy and our freedom. We cannot let that happen. If not America, where?
So for me, I'm going to break it down to spending as a member of Congress. Spending, standards, sovereignty. We're not going to keep bankrupting the country. Me and Ralph are not voting to bankrupt the country. We're done with that. We're going to drag our friends screaming and kicking with that. Standards. We got to maintain, you got to have some standard, whether it's in the military, in your daily life. My pronouns are him and he, and there isn't any other. That's it. I'm a man, and I'm not. That's it. Sovereignty. National sovereignty of our country, state sovereignty. The states are sovereign. Your personal sovereignty. We are done with the government at all levels telling us what we can do with our bodies and our lives, and we got to fight for it. That's what the Freedom Caucus is going to do. Thank you for being in the fight with us.
And ladies and gentlemen, please thank our good friends, Congressman Ralph Norman.